Hey,
Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Wealthy Wednesdays, season 4, okay? Hosted by Queen Care. I am Monica Matthews, the owner of Queen Care.
hi everybody. I am Tajiana Ellis, and I'm the Chief Program Officer of Life Enrichment Group.
Yes, and we're so glad you're here with us today. Queen Care, our tagline is to indulge, engage, and uplift, meaning we want people to indulge in self care practices that really support optimal health. We want people to engage with each other, to build a stronger community, a stronger society, and uplift those who are most vulnerable amongst us. That's what Queen Care is all about. But so you may ask, okay, I know what Queen Care is all about. What is Wealthy Wednesday all about? And listen, I'm glad you asked. Wealthy Wednesday is an online health initiative really focusing on learning and relearning how to properly care for ourselves. And we really envision this time together to consist of really just sharing information that's going to feed our mind, body, and soul. Okay, holistic. And so we're taking this time to invest in ourselves. We're so glad that you're here, taking a moment out the week to just say yes to ourselves. Okay, let's just practice saying yes to self. That's what Queen Care is all about.
That's what it's all about. And I'm so glad that you all said yes to tuning in tonight, whether you are live or you'll watch the replay. There are so many ways to stay connected with us. This show is one of them. But other ways you can stay connected with us is to make sure you like, comment, and share this video. That's right, this video. Follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, you have to visit queencareproducts.com. So if you miss the last few weeks, the good news is there's ways for you to catch up. Like I mentioned, all of those ways you can catch up on our episodes that you have missed on our social media pages. We have been joined by our resident therapist, Dr. Jen. We have been processing the pandemic realities in an effort to really release and reestablish post-pandemic care. Like, what does that look like after the after the pandemic, the rituals for ourselves. And so we are doing this so that we can simply perform at our highest level. A little disclaimer, these topics that we've been discussing the last few weeks have been personal and sensitive and also can be triggering. And we recognize that. So we want to please advise you to take care and take notice of your mental and emotional state and govern yourself accordingly. We have been very intentional on wanting to discuss these topics because having a healthy mind is the backbone of having a wealthy life, period. So for those of you who have missed our episode on our last time that we were here, it was on relationships, and man, oh man, was that not a good episode. We were joined, of course, with our resident therapist of the season, Dr. Jen, and we also had Ashley McGirt Adair give us a wealth of care points for us to implement when it comes to healthy relationships. That was a really good episode.
That was such a good episode. Let me tell you, all of season 4 episodes have been really good. And I'm really glad that we chose to focus on really unpacking the pandemic and just like healing from it so we can move on. I don't know about you, but like I've been getting many therapy sessions each Wealthy Wednesday and just
Absolutely.
like, normalizing this thing called mental wellness and mental health, right? So but today we are having a dialogue and we're talking about good and bad habits and really how it affects our mental health. And so I want to throw yet another disclaimer out there, that we're aware that like what Taji or I might consider to be bad habits, it's objective, right? And so you might not see it that way, right? And that's okay. So we want to welcome dialogue about like what you think are bad habits. We're going to share dialogue about what we think are bad habits, and we'll just go from there. We'll just help each other, if that's okay. And good and bad habits, like especially bad habits, right? It's a heavy topic. And when it's even more heavy when we don't have the tools to really process through it. And so I'm so glad that we have our resident therapist with us, top notch. Okay. And but first, hold on. But first,
But first, You already know, you guys, that we have our question of the day. Today is no different. So, today's question of the day is, what are some bad habits that can negatively affect your mental health? There are some bad habits, I'm going to say it again, that can negatively affect your mental health. Monica, did you want to share anything?
What bad habits?
And it's a, you know, you don't have to. It's just
I'm gonna share a bunch of bad habits, absolutely. And you know what? The thing about it is just trying to make light of this because it really is heavy topics. Like this is real life that we're dealing with. I know I have some bad habits, bad habits that in real life like affect my mental health in a negative way, right? So I'm just gonna throw a bad habit out there right now: procrastination. Let's just throw it out there.
Just throw it out there.
And I don't know what it is. You know, that whole thing about, well, I work better. Like, up
Pressure.
until the moment, I used to say that too until I really was like, you know what, girl, no.
Like, knock it off.
This is stressful, so I that's what I would say. What about you? You got any bad habits before we dig in?
Yikes. I mean, I know we're going to dig in, but I definitely would have to say, that late snacking, that emotional eating, it comes in the way. It gets in the way sometimes, a lot of the times. But we're working through it. We're working through it because I think the biggest thing, which I'm so excited to talk about with Dr. Jen today, is just like, being able to identify like those triggers, that could lead to emotional eating. So
yes,
that's what I've been working on when it comes to that.
It's a thing. It's a thing. And I'm really excited like to hear from Dr. Jen too. And I hope you guys really put some bad habit ideas into the chat too, is because like sometimes we just need the tools to break the bad habit. Like for me, like just in these cycles, of just how I've always done things and how it's always been. Some of it you don't even know where it comes from. It comes from childhood. Some of these habits you picked up along the way. Some of it was passed down to you. But I'm really excited to hear from our therapist how we can really like navigate and break free. Like, because bad habits do affect our mental health.
Period. And it's facts. And that's why I'm glad we're talking about it. So without further ado, we are so excited to bring back our licensed psychologist that has been joining us all season long as we unpack this pandemic, y'all. So join me in welcoming back Dr. Genesee Temple, aka Dr. Jen. Welcome to the room.
Hey y'all. Hello.
Hey. Yes.
And happy belated birthday, Dr.
Happy belated birthday.
Woo-hoo. Thank you.
Yes.
Blessed to be here another year.
Another year. Come on.
Yes. Well, listen, Dr. Jim, we are gonna jump right into this thing. Like we're talking about bad habits today and how it affects our mental health. So let's just talk about straight up, like how are bad habits even formed and like why are they so hard to break?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think about habits, they're formed like any other habit, even if it's a positive habit. I try to, in my mind, break it down into a couple pieces. I think first, all of the behaviors that we engage in, they serve a purpose. So as we're developing a bad habit, it's usually for something, right? We're problem solving species. So first, what is this habit trying to accomplish? So what is the purpose of the habit? I think what then helps reinforce the habit is repetition. So like how long and often have we used it? Is this something that we recently developed in order to solve, step one, which is an identifiable problem, or is it maybe a more covert way or subconscious way, I'll say, to solve a problem? And then the third piece, I think about outcomes. Does this habit get us what we want? And sometimes, we may get what we want, but the means are they're not always efficient, safe, healthy, helpful for others. But what reinforces that is it gets me what I want at the end of the day. So, as humans, we're constantly trying to figure out how to do things in ways that make sense to us or feel good. And they can be hard to break because we don't always know that a habit is bad. Or, beyond bad, I like to say like counterproductive. So like I was saying, purpose, repetition, outcomes.
That's good.
That's real good because like like it really requires you to check in with yourself. And I feel like that's been a theme this season through all the topics. What we've been talking about as far as this mental health thing is checking in with ourselves. How does it feel? Like, yeah, it might get you to the expected end, but did you beat yourself up the whole long? Like, did you harm yourself the whole way to get there? Like, is there another way I can do this? And I feel like for me in particular, moving so fast, right? I don't give myself enough time sometimes to check in with myself to say, how do you feel about how that went?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? If you procrastinate to the last minute and now like you have to have a whole half a day to like decompress and get your mind back right and all that from all that stress,
Yep.
So yeah, I'm seeing that theme come together, Dr. Jen, like as far as checking in with your number one.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I also think like, something else you said was like over time,
Mm-hmm.
And that whole saying, you get stuck in your ways, because over time you've done something the same way, and it might be a lot of reasons why you're not even aware of it because it's just like second nature. Oh, this is how I've always done things. Exactly. Or, you're not checking in with yourself to see if you like it or you like how things are going, or you're just, you're just going.
Yep.
And not checking in,
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that, thinking about that more because it does require you to center yourself. And I think that's why I really like that. Absolutely. So, and then you said something I do want you to expound a little bit more. I want you to talk about it, like language in this whole thing. Because you said it's not necessarily bad, but it's not serving us. Like, the importance of how we frame things and what we make things mean too. You know what I mean? When it comes to habits too. Like, so yeah, language is really important in there too. So like, how do we identify if we have like a bad habit? Like, how do we identify that? And like, what steps can we take to like address it?
Oof, yeah. So like I was saying earlier, we are species that love patterns. We love we are behaviorally based creatures. And like I was saying, sometimes these behaviors are so ingrained in us that we don't recognize it. But when we do, the work is that we have to retrain our brains to override it. Think about your morning routines. How many of us have a routine? Even if we don't hit all the dots every day, wake up, wash your face, brush your teeth, put on clothes, right? Like if someone was going to tell you to wake up, don't brush your teeth, don't put on your clothes and head out the door, you're going to be like, wait, this doesn't fit in what I do. So if we're trying to, change a counterproductive or unhelpful habit, the first thing we need is awareness, because like I said, sometimes we don't know because it's been serving a purpose and maybe it's worked. But we need to be aware of it. So we need to become aware that the particular habit has a negative consequence, either a negative consequence for us or others or in a situation. So once we're aware, we need to decide if the pattern is worth changing. Now, I know some people are like, wait, well, if you think it's a, bad habit, why won't you change it? Well, sometimes it may not be beneficial for others, but it works for you. And you kind of have to get to a point to decide, like, do I have the capacity, the resources, the energy, depending on what the habit? I always think about, I don't know if y'all watch Shark Tank, but Kevin, Mr. Wonderful, he is notorious on the show for being the rude guy. He just says real cutthroat stuff to people. And for so many seasons, that's how he operated because it gets the show ratings. It's a terrible habit to talk to people. He calls people roaches and some other stuff. It's madness. But for so many seasons, and then one random season, a couple years ago, he started naming kind of out loud that he was talking to his therapist about his behavior, because it took, almost a lifetime for him to figure out, like, me being, crass and rude is actually probably more harmful to other people. And although it might get the show ratings and, I got this reputation as the tough shark, I don't want that anymore. So you just get to a point where you decide the value of changing it. And then you use that for motivation, and without a purpose, like why does it matter to change, you're not going to be motivated, or it's not going to be sustainable. So when I say motivation, specifically, what are the potential benefits of shifting the habit? Sometimes we get stuck in the, oh, well, changing it will mean all these inconvenience, blah, blah, blah. But what could come out of it that could be positive? Oh, I can still be a tough businessman, but I don't have to degrade people, and I can still get my point across. So then that's how you start to move. Then you need to consider, once you've got through those first steps, consider the alternate behaviors that can still help you meet the need. Because at the end, habits are meeting needs. There's a need. It's serving a purpose. So what are alternative things you can do that will still help you get the need, reduce harm, stress, etc.? And then the last part of it is practice. Practice the new habit. It doesn't come quick. So one of the things I'm personally working on as a habit is complaining. I came to my attention, and then it was recently brought to my attention, but by an external person, like, you are complaining a lot, and that's not your best self. And I was like, but I sat and thought about it, and I'm like, yeah. So how do I practice that? Mindful awareness each day. So even today, I was like, okay, there's been some things that are not great happening this morning, but I won't complain. Instead, I will look for the lesson, the silver lining, and maybe vent, but not get into like lingering and dwelling. So with that, you practice daily, and you remember it takes time. And sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board and potentially brainstorm new ways of shifting. You might say, I'll do a gratitude journal, and then the gratitude journal isn't really working for you. That's not really helping click. Maybe go back to a different practice, looking at quotes each day that inspire you to be grateful. So those are just some of the things I think that can help us start to do that really hard work of changing behaviors or habits.
That's good. I hear grace, like giving ourselves grace in the process, and like not beating ourselves up for trying to make changes, like trying to do, improve and do better, and, kind of create better habits for ourselves that are going to be conducive for our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health. That's good.
Yeah, real good. And I like that, Taji. Like, if you knew better, you do better. Maybe that's where that came from. But
right, also, people be like coming for you. It's like, dang, I've been doing this for 30-something years. Like,
let me know better so I can do better. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, it gives me time to do better.
There we go. Time.
Yeah, because it does take time, because it's like you've been doing something in a certain way the whole time. You're not going to change around. What about that thing that says it takes 21 days to form a habit? Is that a real thing?
I think it's a real thing. I think there's research to back it, but when I share studies or information like that, we're all on a spectrum. For some of us, we might hit that 21 days and we are in the green. Some of us might need 35, 60, 100, 200 days to really change a habit. And sometimes too, with that in particular, people think that means a full 180 shift. It might be a 45-degree angle shift. And we might be at that shift for a while before we're ready to shift another 45. So I think we have to think about ourselves in more of a spectrum versus like, you hit this 21 days, you should have something changed about you. That's not always realistic.
That's good. That's good. Because I'm thinking about too, like, for me, like these habit things, it's about like consistency too. So while you in taking the time to change it, like you've identified it, I'm like, okay, this ain't serving me, and it's the consistency. But what you said today will definitely help me. Like, what are constantly thinking of the benefits, and that's what we're just talking about. Like, what do you make it mean? Like, focus on what's going to benefit you. So yeah, that's real good. I like it.
That's real good. I love it. This is good. This is so good. So we are going to throw out some habits that we have identified that are bad, and I put quotes because we just had this conversation about what we make it mean, and we would like to hear from you, Dr. Jen, on how they can affect our mental health, and then also what good habits we can do to replace those things that we do.
Yes, we're gonna do this like a speed session. I'm gonna throw it out, you tell me, and then I'm gonna throw out another one, and
we'll alternate.
I'm sure it's gonna help a lot of people, this list. Okay, so first up, you ready, Dr. Jen?
Yep.
Self-sabotage.
Okay. Self-sabotage, I'm doing this like speed dating. Can get in the way of you reaching your goals, get in the way of you being the best version of yourself, can negatively impact social relationships. And I feel that some underlying contributing factors include anxiety, fear, low self-esteem, and stubbornness. And a good habit or something you could start to do is really identify those warning signs, those sabotage warning signs. But I think also doing that deeper dive, I think, earlier you were saying like do that exploration, center yourself, get to know yourself, and really understand which of those things are underlying it, and then start to work on those root causes.
That's so good. We could have like a whole session on each one of these, but we
can literally have a whole thing about self-sabotage by itself, like a whole. Ooh, we might have
all
to.
them jewels she just gave. Oh, okay. So anyway, I'm gonna watch the session.
We're going back to the brainstorming board.
yes. Okay, up next, procrastination.
Oh,
okay. So I mean, it's same thing, right? Like mental health impact. Okay, definitely can create more hardships for you, and stress. You could miss opportunities, and oftentimes I've worked with people who feel like a failure. Are some of like, and this is not exhaustive for any of these answers, but these are top of mind things. I think good habits include like schedule management and planning. Some of us just don't know how to manage schedules, and that's okay. There's no shame to be had because that's not always explicitly taught. Goals setting. So learn how to make goals or break down tasks into smaller pieces. Sometimes people have these 30-line long things. What do you have the capacity to do today so you can do that and not put it off? So I would say that for procrastination.
That's good. Okay. Emotional eating.
Okay. So for thinking about that, I mean, it creates this unhealthy relationship with food. There's all kind of health impacts if we are doing it excessively over a long period of time. I usually say, I think mentally it can be often it's an avoidance of underlying issues. I know big emotions like grief, sadness, depression often feed into this type of behavior, and it can definitely manifest in us feeling low confidence and esteem and things like that. So I think good habits would be acknowledging our emotions. We talked about this before in our previous things, like emotions are not our enemies. It is information. It is letting you know what's going on. Managing impulses to eat in ways that may be unhealthy. So first, what are your go-to snacks, meals, etc.? Because by identifying like, if I'm craving potatoes, starches are usually foods that are associated with low mood. Like if I need a pick me up, I wanted a potato. How many of you wanted French fries, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, chips? So recognizing your trigger foods, and then start doing that self-assessment. What's going on with me? What do I need right now?
Oof. Yeah. Ooh, Chad, I just want to dig in, but I'm not. Excessive spending.
Yes. Okay. What do I think ties to excessive spending? Escapism. Oftentimes when we shop, we feel better. Retail therapy, as we love to call it. Sometimes for some of us, it's impulse control. It's like, I see it, I want it, I got to have it, versus like taking a step back and being like, look at the budget. Can I do that? Maybe there's a dupe that's less money. Need to be liked or envied. Sometimes people are spending to make friends, to feel some void for confidence. And it can definitely impact you financially if you're living beyond your means. When I'm thinking about better habits, I would say think about what you're avoiding by spending and really sitting with your emotions. I also think about like finding other ways to reward yourself that aren't necessarily monetary. So, could I binge a show that I like? Could I take a walk? Could I connect with someone? Could I go out, but like be social at the waterfront or something? So just some things that I'm thinking about preliminarily for excessive spending.
Okay. Going to bed late or lack of sleep.
Working with college students, this was like an everyday conversation. So it's like First of all, you don't have energy. Your body needs sleep. That's where we get our energy. Also, a lot of people don't know that's where our brain does its best work, because when we're asleep, it helps us encode information. So you think about when you don't sleep, what do you have? Brain fog. It's like, I can't remember, I can't recall. So that gets in the way. It can just negatively impact your daily functioning. So you could have a bad mood, not be able to focus, anything like that. And over a long period of time, not sleeping can actually like contribute to death. I don't think people understand that. So it's like, you need to sleep. Good habits, practicing sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is just a fancy way to say habits. Practicing healthy sleep habits. That means for some people not watching TV in the bed, because now you've kind of blurred the association between like bed means sleep, not bed means like eat snacks, watch TV, clip toenails, like creating differentiation. There's other pieces to it, but just know it's a fancy word for like good sleep habits. Setting bedtime reminders for some of us who might get sucked into the internet world verse. Make an alarm so you go to bed, or start to wind down. My phone and my watch, my iPhone will tell me, hey, bedtime's at 10:30, and it starts winding me down at 9:45. And make sure that you're trying to set aside at least 6 to 8 hours for sleep. Everybody's body's different, but on average, that seems to be like a healthy window of time for sleep.
That's good. Ooh. Too much screen time.
So many things, so many words I could say about this, but I will say you can miss out on real life. You know, your head's in the screen, or you're out with your friends on the screen, or you're at the party on the screen. You're just missing out on like the real experiences around you. That type of distraction can also lead to some of the other habits we talked about, which was like sleep, spending money, procrastination. I know Instagram Marketplace at one point had me in a chokehold, because they're showing you ads for things, and they're like, just click here to like buy these earrings, click here to buy these shoes. So it can lead to a lot of things. Strain on the eyes, social comparisons. That's a big thing we're dealing with. Everybody wants to look like carbon copies of each other. And it can actually cause heightened anxiety and distress, especially depending on the content that you're viewing. If you're viewing a lot of distressing news or images, etc., harmful rhetoric, all that stuff can really create a lot of negative feelings. Good habits, setting screen time limits. So I have been trying to like limit myself to like an hour a day on social media, or just deleting it for a week or two at a time, just to, you know, minimize that. I would say avoid images, news, etc., that, you know, create distress or kind of influence other negative behaviors.
I gotta say this real quick about this. I'm sorry. I know we speed dating, but listen, the biggest thing you just said about that too much screen time to me is you're missing out on real life.
Yes.
You're missing out on real life. Like that is period right there. You don't want to miss out on real life being on social media. Like, anyway.
No, that's a good one.
That's deep.
I had an epiphany. I went somewhere when I went to this wedding I was telling y'all about. I realized I wasn't posting a lot on social media, and I was like, oh, my stories are so boring. But I'm like, actually, I'm like in the moment. And no, I'm not going to film everything I'm doing, because I'm like in the moment doing stuff. And then I was like, yeah. So that's we got to talk about that in the future.
We got to talk. I'm seeing a whole nother season 5.
That's season 5, social media, and just that screen time, because I see, and I had to catch myself doing it too. Like, say you're at a concert or a wedding or something like that, and you're on your phone, you know what I mean, video and watching the experience through the phone.
Yes.
When it's different watching an experience through the phone than watching it in person with your
actually
own eyes.
Having fun and like dancing and, you know.
Oh, yeah, we might have to season 5.
Yeah, season 5 is about to be popping, y'all. So get ready for season 5. Okay, we're back to speed dating. Okay, so isolation.
Okay. I mean, it creates disconnection from others. It's not introversion. Introversion is kind of like, oh, I've reached my capacity. I only have so much energy for interactions. Whereas isolation is like, I'm not seeing you, speaking to you. I'm in my own bubble. And typically when we see severe isolation, that can be connected to like some forms of like mental health issues. Mood, depression, anxiety, people can shut themselves in, and it's not healthy because we're social creatures by design. Like I said, and I think I'll keep saying this in our segments, like humans exist on a spectrum. It's not 100% everybody wants to be social or are born to be that way, but the majority of people in the bell curve right here, we need interaction. Isolation is not healthy for us. Good habits. So identifying and addressing sources of distress that could be contributing to why we feel like we have to be alone. Finding ways to connect and take baby steps, because it doesn't mean you just go to a 80,000 person concert and, you know, it could even be just getting comfortable sitting at the coffee shop amongst people. Even that has healthy benefits. So baby steps. Acknowledge that coming out of isolation can be overwhelming and challenging. So take time to process those experiences. Think about it beforehand, have some coping techniques through it, and then debrief after.
No, that's real good, especially when we're talking about processing pandemic reality.
Yes,
like I literally ran into somebody like recently that has this social anxiety now, and they're literally isolating themselves. They're not coming outside because of that whole pandemic thing. You know what I mean? So those are really good tips. That's really
good tips. I definitely experienced some of that you just said, Monica. So it's coming out of it. This is why this is important to talk about some of this stuff, you know?
Absolutely. Negative self-talk. Ooh.
All of us, most of us, many of us humans will experience this. I want to normalize that we are not alone. It makes us feel like poop. We don't feel good about ourselves. We doubt ourselves. We don't take those chances. And another piece of it is we can project. A lot of our behaviors are projections of what's going on internally. So that could be looking like putting other people down, you know, or overemphasizing people's qualities. So just be mindful of that. I think good habits include affirmations. And, you know, it doesn't have to be like formulaic. You get it from a website. Find your own affirmation that works for you, and maybe a song. Kendrick Lamar's new album, that has been an affirmation for me. So like, I've just been like, there's a few songs in there. I'm like, all right, I got it. I feel better. Identify your values. I talk a lot about values. When you know what you value and what's important to you, when you can start to do things that align with those values, you feel more grounded in yourself because you're doing the things that matter. Identify your skills and positive attributes. You know, it doesn't need to be about vanity. It could be about, you know, I'm a good writer. I'm a good communicator. I'm helpful. I'm thoughtful. So really looking at those intangible things. And then review the evidence. So when have you reached goals? When have you helped someone? When have you been successful on your own terms? And start to look at those pieces that show like, oh, maybe this self-talk thing isn't all true. And I have some good qualities about myself.
That's real good.
That's good. Okay. Avoidant behavior.
Woo.
Yes. Oh. Usually with avoidance, there's some fear or some anxiety. See, combination A or B, maybe some other stuff. But when you're avoidant, you're missing out on opportunities, experiences, relationships. And I don't mean just romantic. I mean your friends, your family, coworkers, whatever. Good habits for that, I would say, once again, tapping into those feelings. Why am I wanting to avoid? Usually we're thinking about some consequence, some loss, something that negative is going to happen. So I need to avoid it. Reality testing some of your beliefs is helpful. So if we're fearful or anxious, test out that theory. If I have a problem with someone and I need to like have a difficult conversation, am I, you know, and it happens and we're fine, everybody lives. It's like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to avoid confrontation. I can have those conversations with people. I would say expose yourself to experiences, right? So if you're avoiding certain things, exposure therapy is so helpful. And that could be like professionally or not, just ways to get you to do the thing that you're really scared to do.
And sometimes it's not even that scary, really. It's just all the lies and things trumped up in your head. Exactly. You've been avoiding the whole time, and it's really not even that bad.
Usually that's how it works. Yeah.
Listen, we got one more, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm going back and watching this episode. All of them I do watch again, but this one in particular, I'm gonna have to study. So thank you, Dr. Jen. Listen, the last one, last but not least, people pleasing.
Yet another one. No judgment. I think one, it goes back to us being social creatures. I was just, sharing earlier today that people want to be seen and understood. People pleasing, I think, is at the heart of that, right? So we're often engaging in behaviors, though, when we suffer from people pleasing, that can be emotionally draining. It can leave you feeling inadequate or not good enough because you're trying to get others to fulfill your own need. It's like, if they love me, then I'm lovable. If they like me, then I'm likable. And that is a lot of personal investment of your own self in someone else's eyes. I think it can also jeopardize important relationships to you because we teach people how to treat us. So if you're always saying yes, or you're going over and beyond, you might say no one day and it could be a whole shebang. So you got to think about that. When I think of good habits, boundaries, healthy boundaries. And I think for people pleasers, it's harder for people pleasers to set the boundaries than I think it is for other people to honor the boundaries. And I think that's where a lot of the heavy lifting goes. I would say honoring your own capacity. I've had to learn that, like, me saying no doesn't mean I don't care about people. It just means that I'm honoring that I'm not going to be able to give you my best self if I operate outside of my boundaries. Saying no. And then a good habit to develop is trusting that the people you have chosen to have in your life and who choose to have you in yours value you without, the stipulations of you going above and beyond all the time. So your worth. So I always say people pleasing is about a worth, self-value, esteem thing.
Woo! Dr. Jen took us to school.
Okay, it was the A through Z for me.
Yikes,
this is a good list.
Listen,
that was real helpful. Real helpful. And you know what I really appreciate is the fact of, like, replacing it with something that's going to serve us, right? Because we always all day we can say, man, we know our bad habits. Like, you know what I mean? I know I can be avoidant. That's a bad habit, right? But I never went so far to think, well, what do I replace that with? If I want to stop doing it, but I don't know what to replace. Like, how? Number one, and number two, what do I replace it with? So thank you for those tips, Jen, because we need to replace the negative with positive. If we want to really realize mental wellness. So yay, that was good.
That was good. Well, y'all, again, definitely continue to dialogue in the comments. But we just want to thank you, Dr. Jen, for being our resident therapist on Wealthy Wednesdays this season. And we've been so glad to get to have you back each week for the next few weeks to help us really just increase our knowledge and skill set around these topics that literally can have us carrying weight in our everyday lives. So we appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you both so much for having me. This was fun. I mean, every segment has been fun, but I love this format for this one. It's like, let's just run it down the list.
Just run it.
So, yeah, I think
we got so many bad habits now. I'm just
listen, a few of those on there, I'm like,
Listen, you heard the ones that you heard us both do a unison of that was foretelling.
Listen, working on it. I'm like, yes, in progress. We're all in progress.
We're all in progress, period.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Jen. We'll see you next Wealthy Wednesday.
Yes.
Ooh, wee, girl.
Ooh, that was good.
Yeah. Listen.
That's all I can really say. Listen.
I'm going to go back and study that.
Okay. Come on. Time mark. Y'all. Definitely. That was so good. So now it's time for our announcements. So y'all, we've been having the Queen Care Summer Series all summer, but alas, this will be the final one. So since it's the final one,
y'all better come out.
We need everybody to pull up and just show up and have a good time. Okay, so I'm gonna give you all these dates. Write them down so you can know when to go. Okay. Okay. So the first one up is actually next Tuesday, August 8th, will be the DIY Arts and Crafts Night with Philly So Creative. So there'll be t-shirts. They'll be making t-shirts and tumblers, and that is going to be at 6:30 at Queen Care. So you want to be there Tuesday, August 8th. Okay. Then second Friday, which is August 11th, will be the final open mic karaoke night hosted by myself in Queen Care, August 11th at 7 p.m. Again, this is at the Queen Care 23rd in Jackson. Then on Sunday, August the 13th, there'll be the final self-care and sip. Y'all, the self-care and sips have been so good. So you need to go ahead and get you like a nice hand massage, a nice shoulder neck massage with the Queen Care products. It is so amazing. So please come. You need it. We all need it. And I believe that's at 4 p.m. Sunday, August 13th. And then last but not least is Fitness for the Culture with Ashley McCarver on Monday, August 14th at 6:30. Get your workout on. She always has some really good, fun routines, and it really gets you, again, it's a good workout. You'll leave feeling like you did something, okay? So you definitely want to go be there. So these are the final events of the summer. So you want to come out, 23rd in Jackson, Queen Care, be there or be square.
Yeah, we've been having fun in the sun this summer, and I just love our summer series. And yeah, we're gonna be back every summer. But help us, close out the summer. First of all, can we believe that it's like
can we believe it's the end? Like,
I don't want it to end. But anyway, while it's still here,
I'm ready for the cold weather.
Nah, we ain't even gonna bring that up right now. We're gonna enjoy this heat while we got it.
Right.
What's going on in Life Enrichment Group world?
So Life Enrichment Group, y'all, we are closing out our summer programming. So the Scholars Project final day is next Thursday, the 10th. So it's been a very enriching experience for all of our middle school students. They've been doing coding. They've been learning photography. They've been learning social media content, all of that. It's been good. Financial literacy, like the list goes
AI.
They've been doing it all, y'all. Like I was in some of those classes. Like it was so good. So the next Thursday, they are going to end that. And then also we have our youth and business where we have interns actually working with Queen Care during the summer and doing the store, doing some of the festivals. Like this weekend, come out for Emotion Fest on the 5th and 6th at Junkins Park. And stop at the Queen Care table, say hi to some of the youth and business interns and the Queen Care team. So yeah, that's been going on. That is going to be ending later this month. And we still do have our Family First Family First Community Center. We have Young Kings and Young Queens. So, it's been a very busy summer, but productive summer. And we're excited to kind of switch gears for the fall.
Yeah. These young people are off the chain. They are so sharp. Listen, I'm gonna need. Listen, yeah, come.
We're about to hire all of them. Yeah, we're about to hire them all.
All of them. No cap. Well, yeah, we got it going on. Thank you, Taji, for all of those Queen Care and Life Enrichment Group announcements. And I just think for final words today, I just want to share that literally, we all go through things. Like literally, I've been going through something very heavy lately. And I just want to share this to really help people and we talked about it earlier, is just like frame these experiences and think about what you're making it mean.
Yes.
That can really determine your success in getting through the situation to the other side or not.
Absolutely.
Things are going to happen in life. everything is not always going to be perfect in life, right? There's going to be stumbling blocks, things that come and shake you all up and shake you to your core, okay?
Yep.
But what are you making it mean? Are you making it mean you're a failure? Or are you making it mean you just need to learn a little bit more? You know, are you making it mean you're not worth it, so this happened? Or you're making it mean I just need, you know, more information, or, you know, I need to go back to the drawing board on something. I need to reorganize. I need to plan. You know, I need to put some things in place for my self-love and self-care. You know, what are you making it mean? And make it mean something productive. It could even mean like, listen, I needed this lesson, you know, to get further, to grow, you know, in my business. And I know we have a session on that coming up.
Yes, we do.
Whoa, y'all don't want to miss that, because I'm
Y'all
dropping
don't wanna miss that.
all business growth, growing pains and successes. So yeah, frame those adversities and make it mean something that's gonna serve you, and not necessarily make it mean something that's gonna beat you up. Okay,
Yeah,
those are my final words. And yeah, you all, thank you so much for tuning in to Wealthy Wednesday. And we're in this together, period, point blank. And until next time, we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see you at Queen Care this next coming week of
Hopefully.
activities. And if not, we'll see you back here, Wealthy Wednesday, every other Wednesday. All right. So peace and love, y'all, and be well.
Bye.